Hello grade 8 learners, this is Sir Marvin and welcome back to English Time, and today this is going to be our third and fourth episodes for English lessons in English 8, and our topic will be about determine various social, moral, and economic issues discussed in text listened to. So what are we waiting for? Let's go! Alright, so for our review, identify the type of propaganda devices described in each number. Type your answers on the chat box. Number 1 is a persuasive technique and a type of propaganda through which a writer persuades his readers so that the majority could agree with the argument of the writer. He does this rather by suggesting that since the majority agrees, the readers should too. Bandwagon, loaded, transfer, glittering, name-calling, plain folks, or testimonial. Write your answer on your paper. Let's proceed with the next one. Number 2. This is a word or are words that are rhetoric and are used to influence an audience by using words and phrases with strong connotations associated with them in order to invoke an emotional response and or exploit stereotypes. Bandwagon, loaded, transfer, glittering, name-calling, plain folks, or testimonial. Finished? Let's proceed with the next one. Number 3. Tries to make you view something in the same way as they view something else. What type of propaganda device is this? Bandwagon, loaded, transfer, glittering, name-calling, plain folks, or testimonial. Next, number 4 are words that sound attractive or catchy but don't mean anything. Bandwagon, loaded, transfer, glittering, name-calling, plain folks, or testimonial. Write your answer on your paper. Number 5 is a cognitive bias and a technique to promote propaganda. Propagandists use the name-calling technique to invoke fear in those exposed to the propaganda, resulting in the formation of a negative opinion about a person, group, or set of beliefs or ideas. Bandwagon, loaded, transfer, glittering, name-calling, plain folks, or testimonial. With number 6, the question is, blank are identified with common people from everyday walks of life. A convincing method to show they are just common people. Bandwagon, loaded, transfer, glittering, name-calling, plain folks, or testimonial. Write your answer. Next, number 7. This is the celebrity endorsement of philosophy, movement, or candidate. In advertising, for example, athletes are often paid millions of dollars to promote sports shoes, equipment, and fast food. Bandwagon, loaded, transfer, glittering, name-calling, plain folks, or testimonial. Write your answer. Okay, remember, our objective for today is, it should have been objective and not objectives. After going through this module, you are expected to determine various social, moral, and economic issues discussed in text listened to. Let's proceed. So this is third quarter, and you will learn more about social, moral, and economic issues, as we are going to relate our topic to this banner, poster in the right corner of the screen. You can see clearly the word media. Under it, we have newspapers, internet, television, radio, and magazines. And in the current time, we have the social media platforms that we use where we get information and we upload information. Okay, we give and get information. So we have these Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. So these are called social media, in which we are going to refer the current social, moral, and economic issues. Because as of now, it's not only the newspapers, internet, television, radio, and magazines, and interconnected at this very moment. What can you say about this photo? Correct. The thing that you see is not what you get. The things that we see are not the actual things that we expect or the actual things that it should have been. So remember, in whatever you hear, watch, or observe, there is an inclination of knowledge for moral, social, and economic issues that will help you to be a good person in the future. Let's proceed. Let us know. Let's talk about economy, society, and environment. how do these three words are connected to our topic for today? Can you tell something about these words? How about you? Can you tell about economy? What can you tell about economy? How about this one? What can you tell about society? How about environment? Alright. In your own sentences, describe the role of economy, society, and environment to human life. Okay? You may write your answers on your own paper or on the chat box below. Okay? So let's proceed. Thank you for answering. Let us study. Literature has always been one effective way to explore and address social, moral, and economic issues in the human culture. Stories, plays, and other types of fictional media often have some social or cultural concern embedded in the thematic background of a narrative. A social issue is some problem or concern connected to a larger issue that affects society in general. Remember that in society, one small issue is a contributor of a larger one. Okay, often the social issues brought forward in the fiction reflect contemporary concerns in the author's own world. So as what I told you, the author's world or writing is influenced by his or her experiences. So society is one of the reasons why he has these things that he writes. Okay, so let's proceed. Moral issues are those which involve a different belief and not a matter of preference. In addition, moral issues involve the specific kind of situation where actions affect other people. Remember, in society, we have moral issues. Okay? So, this is affecting the people. On the other hand, the economic issues, sometimes called the basic or central or fundamental economic problem, asserts that scarcity or that the finite resources available are insufficient to satisfy all human wants and needs. That's why there are people that commit sins, because the resources are not yet available or are still in scarcity. People need money, okay? People need attention and love and affection. That's why when they feel that they are not receiving that particular thing, they would commit these moral issues. Okay, let's proceed with the next. Next is the economic problem, sometimes called the basic or central economic problem, asserts that an economy's finite resources are insufficient to satisfy all human wants and needs. Economics involves the study of how to allocate resources in conditions of scarcity. However, viewing economics as the study of how society allocates resources can lead to conflation of normative economic planning and empirical study of how economic agents operate in these conditions. There will always be people that would do things according to their wills and needs and greeds. Okay, so let's proceed. In mainstream neoclassical economics, it is assumed that humans pursue their self-interest. The reason why we have problems in economics is that there are people who are so selfish that they push their wants rather than the needs of the society or the community or the economy itself. Okay? And that the market mechanism best satisfies the various wants different individuals might have. These wants are often divided into individual wants, which depend on the individual's preferences and purchasing power parity, and collective wants, which are the wants of entire groups of people. That's why, as times of pandemics from the year 2020, we have had the scarcity in terms of supplies of face masks and face shields, all right? And the word hoarding became so famous. Things such as food and clothing can be classified as either wants or needs, depending on what type and how often a good is requested. Next, economists have sometimes characterized how to produce as a technological problem of efficiency, whereas the allocation of what is produced is an economic problem. In a free market, the how of production and allocation of resources is disturbed among economic agents. In a centrally planned economy, a principal decides how and what to produce on behalf of agents. Modern economies are often welfare capitalists with various regulations, which makes the economic system more equitable while retaining the disturbed free market system. Next, let's proceed. A social issue is a problem that influences many citizens within a society. It is a common problem in present-day society and one that many people strive to solve. It is often the consequence of factors extending beyond an individual's control. Social issues are the source of a conflicting opinion on the grounds of what is perceived as morally correct and incorrect personal life or interpersonal social life decisions. Social issues are distinguished from economic issues. However, some issues such as immigration have both social and economic aspects. There are also issues that do not fall into either category, such as warfare. There can be disagreements about what social issues are worth solving or which should take precedence. Different individuals and different societies have different perceptions. So, isn't it, class, that we have a lot of issues currently in the internet? There are a lot of posts about the issues in economy, okay, in the presidential balls, in the food supply, in the pandemic, in COVID-19 update, okay, in whatever. So these issues are affecting our economy, our society, and of course, the people who are committing immoral acts in the society and in the community. Okay, these are all interconnected and should be solved according to what should be done first or what should be accomplished first or solved first. Okay, so let's proceed. In Rights of Man and Common Sense, Thomas Paine addresses the individual's duty to allow the same rights to others as we allow ourselves. Okay? The failure to do so causes the creation of a social issue. That's why there are people who commit sins, okay, and crimes that are dishonestly or disobediently doing things, okay, or just ruining the society because they have their own wants. There are a variety of methods people use to combat social issues. Some people vote for leaders in a democracy to advance their ideals. Outside the political process, people donate or share their time, money, energy, or other resources. This often takes the form of volunteering. Okay? So, class, when you volunteer, it means you are a person who wants change. Okay? You want to help the society or the community. We call that act as community service. Non-profit organizations are often formed for the sole purpose of solving a social issue. Community organizing involves gathering people together for a common purpose, and these common purposes should be allowing us to act or to grasp the greatness of what we are expecting, okay, or what we want to accomplish. A distinct but related meaning of the term social issue, used particularly in the United States, refers to topics of national political interest over which the public is deeply divided and which are the subject of intense partisan advocacy, debate, and voting. In this case, social issue does not necessarily refer to an ill to be solved, but rather a topic to be discussed. Okay, for our practice directions, determine the social, moral, and economic issues in the following text. Write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. I will be reading these and you will be identifying the issues regarding the social, moral, and economic. Attacks on civil society. The Duterte administration has not relented in its campaign against members of civil society. On July 18, for example, police filed sedition complaints against Vice President Leni Robredo and 35 other people, including priests and bishops, political opposition members, and human rights lawyers and activists whom it claimed had participated in a plot to oust Duterte. The respondents all denied the charge. Okay. Also in July, Duterte's National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon filed perjury charges against religious and activist groups for allegedly lying in their petition seeking judicial protection from state security forces. The petitioners alleged that they were being targeted by the military. They also asserted that Esperon's complaint constituted retaliation to silence them. Senator De Lima, the main critic of Duterte, who initiated an investigation into the drug war killings in 2016, has been held in the police detention since February 2017, facing fabricated drug charges. Meanwhile, the government has continued its campaign of red tagging activists by accusing them of being members of sympathizers of the Communist New People's Army. Over the years, such allegations have often been followed by lethal attacks. On a separate sheet of paper for our evaluation, determine the social, moral, and economic issues involved in the following topics below. Write your answers in a paragraph style. Freedom of media. What can you say about the freedom of media? And when we say media, we are not just referring to the newspaper, magazines, television, radio, or posters. We are also referring to the current one, the social media such as TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. What can you say about the freedom of people to use these media? Okay, and how do we get or do we give the issues in terms of social, societal, moral, and also the economic, social, moral, and economic issues. How do we have that in the very moment that we use this social media platform? Alright, so write your paragraph beautifully and justifiably. Okay, lesson to be continued. Next session, review discussed concepts, prepare answers for remaining topics, and answer the learning activity sheet. So I hope that you have learned today. This is Sir Marvin, and I hope to see you next week for our next episode regarding this topic. So I hope that you have learned something today, and I hope to see you next week for our 4th episode. This is Sir Marvin, and bye-bye.